Libra, it's complicated. And as we go into the astrology, you'll understand why. There's been so much in direct opposition for you for a while now. I think that it's exhausting and it's not moving fast enough to not be frustrating. So we're going to get into this. Libra, this is your week ahead astrology forecast from Astrology Motivation by Born Without Boundaries. My name is Michelle. Guys, thank you so much for coming along on these weekly journeys with me. They do come out every single week. This is based on Libra sun. So the position of your natal sun in the zodiac sign of Libra. So definitely go check your natal charts and find out where your sun, what degree your sun lands in Libra. There's 30 degrees of Libra. Your sun will land in one of them. If you know that your ascendant or moon is at a specific degree and you hear it, then yes, you're right. That position or that placement will be the same degree, the same angle, the same sextile, the same square, but they don't, the measurement will be the same. So if you're clever enough with astrology, you'll know that you can replace one for the other, but the meaning isn't the same. So you'll have to know that too. So I'm going to speak from the angle of the sun, where the natal sun is located. And in doing so, I'm going to divide Libra up into 3 decans. A decan is a group of 10. We divide it into a group of 10 simply because 10 is basically where we take the maximum angle. So there's usually 5 degrees on either side, 5 leading up, the actual perfect, and then 5 after. So in order for the aspect to really have any kind of impact or effect on you or your life. So we'll break them up into sets of 3. Decant 1 is any Libra who has their natal sun between 0 and 10 degrees. This is usually you guys who are born Libras born in September, so the very end of September Libras. And then we have Decant 2, so Libra 2s, where your natal sun will be somewhere between 10 and 20 degrees Libra. That's usually people with birthdays in the very beginning of October 1st or 2nd through like the 11th or 12th. And then Decant 3 are those of you who are born the 12th through the 22nd, or especially cuspers. And I want you to pay attention if you are on a Libra cusp this week, especially Libra Scorpio cusps. There's some heavy activity, so I want you to really focus in when I talk about it, and I'll try to be as specific as possible. Essentially, I'm going to cover all the major planetary aspects and transits that impact you, and I'm going to discuss how based on which decant you land in, okay? So the difference between decant 1 and 3 is about 30 degrees if you're on the extremes. So that's the difference between a trine and a square. And that's a very different aspect, even though your natal suns are interacting with the same planets. So we'll want to be very particular and very specific. It is a complicated week, so let's start as general as possible with something that impacts all of you, which is Venus. Venus is your ruling dignitary, so you always want to know where Venus is, right? I'm a Cancerian, so I track the moon, and the moon moves really fast, so it changes signs every 2.5 days. Venus does not do this, okay? Venus is a little bit more slow moving, but she still moves pretty quickly. Venus is leaving Aries, where she is in detriment, and Aries is going to place her anywhere Venus is. She's going to be in direct opposition to one of your natal suns because it's the opposite sign from you. And Venus is going to go into Taurus, which means she goes from a place of extreme discomfort and vulnerability to a place of absolute comfort. But if in the transition, it's kind of it's like coming home after a hard trip. You just want to like sleep for a while, you know, so it's kind of exhausting. As she drops into Taurus, however, she is going to conjunct the North Node, because the North Node is at the very beginning of Taurus now. It's at 4 degrees Taurus. So within this week, she is conjunct the North Node, which means she's in direct opposition to the South Node. And the South Node is at 4 degrees Scorpio. This impacts those of you who are born on the Libra Scorpio cusp. So Libra 3s that are born in the last 2 or maybe 3 days of Libra, your natal sun is going to be in opposition to Venus still. It's just you guys specifically though, just because of the angles. Opposition to Venus that's still in Aries, that's very flustered and very uncomfortable and very vulnerable and very physical. You know, she desires very physical things in Aries. In Taurus, that's not the same. It's almost like, I would say, you guys be warned, because Venus is now at a comfort zone in Taurus where she tends to overspend and overindulge. There could be major cravings that are happening for you guys this week. There could be major expenditures that are just sort of self-soothing mechanisms that you're more inclined to. Just in FYI, simply because of that opposition and, you know, not knowing really where, it's not really even personal, it's just cosmic, where you're going to be impacted by the fact that she's comfortable again and she's in a home zone and she's a little overindulgent at first. So watch out for overindulgences or things that will come up, people that will ask you to spend too much money, people that will expect you to eat too much, or just be on the lookout for that, okay? Now, Venus overall, for all of you going into Taurus, is a very good thing because it's soothing and it's comfortable again and she feels stronger. So let her pick up some energy, especially as she conjuncts the North Node. There is a sense of feeling more at ease with a discomfort zone. Conjuncting the North Node represents all that we still have to try and have to do and where we are headed. So it's almost like after going where she's gone, she's a lot more accepting and comfortable of what she has to do or where she has to go. It's like, once I've been through all this doesn't look so bad to me. There's a sense of coming full circle back home, and now there's a sense of change, preparing for change, being ready to face the future from a place of strength. Now, for those of you who have your natal suns at the very, very end of Libra, at the very, very beginning of Libra season. Very, very beginning of Libra season. No, at the very, 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 very end of Libra season. Yes, a Libra 3s. Those of you on the Scorpio, Libra Scorpio cusp. That also means that your natal sun is conjunct the North Node. And I want to discuss this with you now because it's only going to go deeper and closer, right? It's only going to get, it's not going to move farther away from you. The Taurus, the North Node, is actually moving toward Aries. So it's going to get more and more perfect and closer to those of you who are right on the cusp. So there is an opposition to the North Node, and that means that there's just some major issues coming up that might sideswipe you this week, Libra 3s, with Libra 3s, end of Libra 3s, right? With putting you in situations that you're not comfortable with, or challenges that come up that are trying to get you or motivate you to put your talents and skills to a purpose that it hasn't been put toward before. And if you look at it like that, it's such a better way of handling it than, I don't know how to handle this. So, there's just a sense of, okay, how can I apply my talents and skills to something that makes me uncomfortable? Because it also means that your natal sun's cuspers are conjunct to the South Node, which means your natal suns are very, very understanding and accepting of its talents and its skills and your purpose and where you come from. So there is that sense of certainty and security that can help guide you toward putting your talents and strengths or your life purpose, using it in ways that you've never used it before, being in situations that may make you uncomfortable, but also figuring I might still be able to apply what I have to these situations. So complex Looking basically, Libra 3s especially, leaving what you were comfort with, being comfortable now enough to go head toward the comfort zone, or being introduced to the discomfort zone for the first time ever, and maybe not knowing what to make of it. FYI. Where you're headed, like choosing about the future. This could bring up some pretty uncomfortable conversations, to be honest with you. So for those of you who are born, but as for Venus, she's actually conjunct the North Node in Taurus. So she, in general, Venus is more comfortable with the discomfortable zone, or applying herself to, or valuing differences, valuing discomfort more. It's almost like she learned her lesson the hard way, to realize that you have to go through it in order to accomplish something. So the ease that she feels at home may be less easy than it usually is. She's kind of more mature and dealing with this in a more sober way. Though I still feel like she'll probably get a little bit lazy when she comes in. I think that there is a sense of appreciation for what she's gone through and what it's prepared her for. So there is a little bit of strengthening that will come, especially for Libra 3s. But that's all of you guys, because that's Venus's interaction with the North Node. Now, things change after Thursday, because Venus doesn't drop into, I'm sorry, I should have said this is from March 14th to March 20th. So March 14th is Tuesday. Wednesday, and then we have Thursday the 16th is when Venus moves into Taurus, and that's when things really start to shift. Another big shift is coming this week, because Jupiter and Chiron are in perfect conjunction in Aries. And this is especially going to impact those of you who are born mid-season, Libra 2s, because your natal suns are in direct opposition to this conjunction between expansion and learning from pain and suffering. Like, how can I grow from learning from pain and suffering? And I think that this has been really surprising you what you're capable of, right? Since you guys are in direct opposition to this. You will feel a little bit lighter, just maybe a light at the end of the tunnel by the end of this week, because Jupiter is now in perfect conjunction with Chiron, and by the end of the week, it will have overtaken and surpassed Chiron. And any energy, any planet with the higher degree is sort of master of the conjunction, if you will. So ultimately what that means is now Jupiter, which is optimism and growth, is overtaking Chiron, which is suffering, learning, teaching about helping to alleviate other people's sufferings by what you've learned by suffering. So now it's more optimistic, it's more growth oriented, it's more expansion oriented, and by the end of this week, you'll definitely be able to, whatever has been really bothering you, plaguing you, you'll start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, or the silver lining, a lot more clearly than you had before. It's not a huge change, but it's just subtle enough to make you start to feel maybe a little bit more optimistic again. Now, Libra 3s. So, like I said, by Thursday, only the very end of you will this impact, you'll be, okay, hold on. Oh, we already discussed that, I think, the North Node. Because your natal suns are conjunct the South Node, and you're in opposition now to the North Node, I think you're growing a little bit more new value on things that you used to be uncomfortable with, especially with Venus there. It's like you're starting to see more value on the things that you used to be really uncomfortable with, or on changing and moving forward. So it could be the mindset is starting to shift in a way that now you're prepared to do what you weren't doing before. That's cuspers. I also put down, for those of you in Libra 3, you are square to Pluto. Your natal sun is square to Pluto because Pluto's at 29 degrees. So this is also impacting you very end of Libra season, Libra Scorpio cuspers. You wouldn't be Scorpios. Your sun would still be in Libra, but it would be at like 28, 29, 30 degrees Libra. Pluto's, anything square Pluto, there's a real challenge with change, and a real challenge with, like extremes, or with toxicity coming up that was hidden. So all of those will be struggles for you this week, but I also think, first of all, you've had that square to Pluto for quite some time, because Pluto's been there for quite some time. And I think now it's just all starting to make sense. It's like Pluto's been driving these changes, and now you're rounding that corner of how to make those changes. So even though it's not necessarily, you're not out of the storm, there is, like I said, that light at the end of the tunnel and a sense of purpose, like knowing what to do with what you've gone through, type of thing. You're also trying to Mars, you guys, because Mars, and this is more for all Libra 3s, Mars is at 24 degrees Gemini. So that forms a trine to your natal suns, and that means that comfortable with movement, comfortable with action, comfortable with finally, since Mars is in Gemini, being able to articulate, teach, or learn from. It's like you're finally comfortable, and that's where you're making your progress. You're finally comfortable having learned something, or what you've learned. It's all coming, it's all making sense now. You know, it's like that, the worst class in high school. It's like all of a sudden toward the end of the year, you're finally starting to like understand things that you didn't, it's starting to settle in. And it's what's happening to you guys. And you can actually start to see where you can make moves or make progress with this. For those of you, yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult to explain energy, so I'm trying to do the best I can. Libra ones, by Friday, your natal suns, and this is those of you who are born at the very beginning of Libra season, are going to be in opposition to the Mercury Sun Neptune conjunction, which is really all about creativity. But in opposition, it could be distracting. Like your creativity could, like you could just like get these inspiring thoughts or ideas or just sort of an opening that starts to happen, a creative opening or creative space that now becomes oppositional to you, so it becomes sort of confusing for you or distracting for you, but it will still be happening to you. So if you can try to go with the flow, with oppositions, it's very difficult. You can't really control the flow with an opposition. So it really is just getting on the surfboard and learning how to ride it. This actually could be brilliant ideas coming into your head, random ideas, but write it down. It'll take you by surprise, but write them down. And even sometimes people finally being able to articulate a very difficult to articulate idea to you, it will all of a sudden distract you. Or so expect the unexpected, expect some surprises, Libra ones, because people will come up with things or realize things that will surprise you, or you'll be doing that yourself, and that could cause a little bit of distraction and beg of you to, or insist on your attention and make you think about things in a different way. Then we have, last but not least, what I want to say, quincunx, right? Libra 1, you are quincunx to Venus and conjunct the North Node. That means it's still very frustrating for you, or you still feel a little bit vulnerable, but it's not as bad as it was when it was in direct opposition to you. You've got a little bit more insight into what's going on. It was sort of like the learning curve stage, especially what's going on with finances now. Finances, because Venus is back into Taurus, or how much you're valued, or are you getting valued? And those things are starting to break apart, but be uncomfortable as they do. Break apart as in those things that were complicating things for you, even though there's still discomfort. Like I said, it's like you're not taking huge leaps forward, but all of you are basically starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's like, don't get your hopes up too much, and you don't have to. You just have to let things keep flowing, and they will. You'll start to feel like things are getting better. Even if you don't see them getting better yet, you'll start to know intuitively they are. I love you guys so much, Libras. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. Ring that notification bell so you know when I upload your favorite content. Libra content comes out every single Tuesday. And then head on over to Born Without Boundaries Tarot and check out the tarot reading. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the videos.